You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment. Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guy. And we have intense, entertaining, and educating sports talk from your favorite sports family. I'm Big Q, DC. Big shout out to DC. He won't be joining us today on the Sports Coma. But welcome you guys to the Sports Coma. Welcome all. On Sports Coma edition 192. And in this Sports Coma, we're going to cover a lot, mostly, predominantly Saints talk today on the podcast. So once again, welcome all those Saints and Who-Dats across the Who-Dat multiverse. Welcome to the Sports Coma today. And we're going to be talking about a few things before we get into the rundown here, dealing with the Saints rookie mini camp that happened over this weekend, the past weekend. And of course, a lot to talk about dealing with that, and we'll get into it in the next 30 minutes of the show. That's all. It's a 30-minute podcast, just updating you, briefing you on some of the things that have been happening in Saints camp, dealing with some of the guys, the rookies that came into the fold. Now, of course, we're going to break down as much as we can because this is a huge list of people on this rookie roster. Among other players, there's a couple of veterans and familiar faces and intriguing veteran players that'll be interested to see what potential spots the Saints see some of these guys as. It'll be real interesting to kind of get into that. Also, not to mention that some, they have a few interesting undrafted tryout guys that's pretty interesting as well that we're going to talk about today. But starting the rundown, of course, is brought to you by the good folks at the Posh Lifestyle. That's www.posh, P-O-S-H, lifestyle, life spelled with a Y, L-Y-F-E style.com. They're a great website for organic supplements from everything that covers the entire body for helping you have a better clean out the liver and digestive system, energy, all kind of great organic products to help you. Also water filters. If you're a person that's big on having clean water to bathe in and clean water to drink, why spend so much money on bottled water when you can simply filter your own water and save money on buying bottles? Also it'll cut down the pollution in the environment as well. So it's just a win-win in that regard. And they have hundreds of dozens of other great products, including music and all kind of wonderful things. Just go to the Posh Lifestyle and check them out. That's the Posh Lifestyle, life spelled with a Y, L-Y-F-E style.com. Remember, it's not just a website, it's a lifestyle. And of course, with 10%, we'll give you 10% off by using the Sports Coma, all lower caps, in the coupon section upon checkout. So that's the Posh Lifestyle. Now getting into the rundown. Like I mentioned, we're going to break down as much as we can because it's a large roster of people that'll be attended the rookie mini camp. And that includes the rookies that were drafted, undrafted guys, and a few veterans, a handful of veterans that were there as well. We'll have some interviews from Coach Sean Payton and Dennis Allen, and we'll try to fit in some more interviews from QB JT Barrett, who had a terrific rookie mini camp. And Sean Payton and the rest of the people were truly impressed by JT Barrett. Sean Payton even went on to say that he was worthy of being drafted. Of course, nobody picked JT Barrett up, and he went undrafted. And he had a terrific college career at Ohio State. But yet he came here and he showed exactly what he was made of, and he looked good back there. And the Saints might have a steal in JT Barrett. It's going to be interesting. Also, we'll see about playing wide receiver Traquan Smith. The Saints third-round draft pick, wide receiver out of Central Florida. His thoughts on camp. And, of course, Marcus Davenport, the first-round draft pick for the New Orleans Saints, defensive lineman, will make his Sports Coma debut. We'll hear what he had to say about the camp as well. And also we'll have some of the camp standouts we'll make mention of that I'll call out. Familiar faces back in the fold in New Orleans in terms of a veteran. We'll talk about that. And the veterans that the Saints have, possibly what could they contribute to the team. Also, we'll talk about we'll mention a player to be put on notice. A lot of people might not know who this guy is, but we'll break down another Snead. The Saints got rid of Willie Snead, and they have an undrafted college free agent guy they trying out called Kevin Snead. Now, as far as my research is concerned, Kevin Snead is not related to Willie Snead, but we're going to talk about Kevin Snead, man, at the end. Later on in the podcast, and about what he could bring. It's a very interesting player. Nobody's really talking about him, but I'm pretty sure after we start talking about him, people will start talking about him, because usually sometimes that's how it really happens. Sometimes we'll break something, somebody will pick up win, and the next thing you know, it'll be out there. But we'll talk about Kevin Snead because nobody else is talking about him, and he's a very interesting character. So we'll get into that. And then, of course, we'll talk about some of the Sports Coma, give out a Sports Coma favorite of one of the undrafted guys that's playing, and what potential position that we could see some of these guys really fitting in, some of the weak spots of the team. Had some commenters said linebacker, some commenters said other things, but defensive tackle it's got to be one of those positions where you'd be like, okay, well, we definitely could use another defensive tackle to rotate with Tyler Davison and Daniel Onyemata. No doubt about it. You definitely probably could use a guy as opposed to like a big chunk guy that could push the pocket. And we might give you our favorite undrafted guy or free agent veteran perhaps that could fill that need for the Saints. Now, getting on to the show, the 2018 rookie camp mini camp roster breakdown, and I can't break the whole thing down. It'll take an entire segment of the show to talk about this, but of course I just wanted to mention some of the numbers of some of these guys so that we'll know for most people who don't know about it. Now, of course, you can always go to the Sports Coma Facebook page or the Twitter page, twitterpage.com/the Sports Coma, or Facebook, the Big Q and the guys from the Sports Coma on Facebook. And you can see we also just subscribe. You get all the latest updates about the Saints, about the Pelicans, boxing news, stuff like that, come right to you. Just subscribe to either the Facebook or the Twitter page, and you'll get Saints related, Pelicans related, and boxing related updates all the time. Just that simple. Also show updates, all that kind of stuff. Just subscribe to the Twitter and Facebook pages. Anyway, get into some of the rookie minicamp roster, just to give you some numbers on some of the guys, the rookies that were drafted. Traquan Smith, he's wearing number 10. Okay, now you know who wore number 10 before. Well, Mr. Traquan Smith is wearing it. He is accepted. Of course, this could change as the season moves on, as it get close into to the real camp, and then of course into regular season where guys really start changing and moving around to get the number that's better for them once it becomes open. But Traquan Smith was assigned and took number 10. That's old Brandon Cook's number. Number 27 is Natrell Jamerson. He took that, the rookie from Wisconsin. Boston Scott, the running back from Louisiana Tech, is in 38. Cameron Moore, the other defensive back we took from Boston College, he's wearing 39. Will Clapp is wearing number 64. Rick Leonard, the defensive tackle from Florida State, is wearing number 73. And Marcus Davenport, the first-round draft pick defensive end, he is wearing number 92. So interesting that is as well. Now, a lot of other things are happening. We also have some very intriguing prospects. Of course, we've heard a lot about J.T. Barrett. He's played really good this camp, looked real comfortable. Now, remember, the guy, there's not shoulder pads in it, that's some sort of thing happening. The guys are simply in shorts and helmets. They don't have any shoulder pads, no padding, all that kind of stuff. They're just wearing helmets and moving around out there. And Sean Payton and the coaches staff is just trying to figure out who can do what, running plays, stuff like that. So that's pretty much all it is. No hitting and all this kind of stuff that you might think would be happening. It's simply just helmets and shorts and shirts, pretty much. Now, JT Barrett from Ohio State looked really well. Of course, all of the guys that we know, like Trayvon Durrell and all those guys, are there. Adam Big Hill participating. But then you have the Saints guys that, guys like Deion Yelda and Jeremy Irwin, all those guys, those undrafted guys, they're there. Now, the veteran, they also have some very interesting draft picks. I mean, veterans that are in the camp. Now, Matt Elam is a guy, of course, a lot of people are familiar with Elam, a former first-round draft pick of Baltimore. They didn't extend out to his 5th year, decided to ultimately let him go. This dude could really be something special. He's a good talent. He has some issues personal-wise. He has some issues injury-wise, but he seems to want to have putting that behind him and seems to want to get back to the business of football. Now, he's a first-round talent safety that may be able to contribute, and the Saints might have something in with Matt Elam. Could possibly have something with this guy. Another intriguing pickup that the Saints have as far as the veterans are concerned is that they actually signed the offensive lineman Michael Ola, who had some experience in the league before. Now, Ola is a guy that the Saints possibly could use at depth. Of course, you have people like Teron Austin. You have Rick Leonard. A lot of people think Rick Leonard is extremely raw and that he would need some time to kind of grow into the position. But the Saints have, to be honest with you, the Saints have always been a team that's went out and has found some interesting players to come in and help them veteran-wise. I remember a couple of years ago they found, they were able to bring Raphael Bush in. And, of course, Bush is a guy that came in, gave him good depth, and, and they really like Raphael, and he spent some time down here before they ultimately decided to move on from him. Now, this could be the case with some of these guys. We don't know. It's still very early, but Ola is a guy out of Hampton University. He's a big guy. Very intriguing there. And also so another few games like Tyron Walker, former Saints, who spent 3 years with the Saints. He ultimately is coming back. Very interesting. Sa Tatatu is another guy who was released earlier. He's back in the training capacity trying to make the team that way as well. They released him earlier, and now he's back trying to make the team and as an undrafted guy. Kind of a long shot. Some of those guys are long shots to kind of make the team, but very interesting components anyway. But if you want to see these guys, see all of their numbers and the full minicap roster from the Saints rookie minicamp, I advise you to go to the Sports Coma, either on Twitter or Facebook, and you can see the link there where you can go into it and you can see the numbers and who really attended. A lot of young people, a lot of intriguing names, too many to go over to mention that time. But anyway, moving ahead, going to our next story, we're gonna play a little bit of Coach Sean Payton as he talked about the rookie minicap here.
So we've got our draft picks, the free agents that we signed after the draft. Then there's a large number of 3-day tryout players that are rookies, and then the league allows 5 veteran tryout players. So that's what our numbers consist of. There's a handful of players that have been with us that are eligible that don't have an accrued season. Any questions?
What are you looking for from the veteran tryout guys?
Well, look, do we have a vision for them? What kind of shape are they in? They played, and so what do we think they can do to help us? We've got a handful of positions, but we've had players, Billy Miller's a guy that, found his way onto the roster that way. So it's really about how quickly are they getting up to speed. The same evaluation really that's taking place with the rest of the players.
So with the limited exposure, what do you gauge out of these days? Do you get somewhat of a grasp of guys learning curve?
That's a little bit of Coach Payton breaking down what he thought about some of the guys and explaining to you, some of the guys who they have in the camp. When we come back, we'll give you a little bit more of that interview, as well as Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, will chime in. A few players, JT Barrett, Traquan Smith, and of course Marcus Davenport will chime in as well, and we'll cover the rest of the topics and issues on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guy. Stay with us. What's up, sports world? This Big Q from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Talking to you about the website, theposhlifestyle.com. That's right, poshlifestyle.com. A great website where you can get great products at great prices. They sell organic herbs, vitamins, supplements, water filters for your home, EMF and cell phone radiation protection, healing magnetics and healing crystals, personal protection devices like cell phones, stun guns, and mace spray, organic deodorants, shampoos, soaps, toothpaste, and more. They also sell 10A grade Brazilian hair. 10A music is available now. All kind of the latest downloadable mixtapes. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to theposhlifestyle.com. That's the Posh Lifestyle, life spelled with a Y, LYFE style.com. Put in the Sports Coma for the 10% discount on your purchase. It's a win-win. So get your mind and body right with the Posh Lifestyle.
Get all the latest news and updates from your New Orleans Pelicans at the Pelicans Eye View, the new and official Pelicans Daily Journal, covering everything Pelicans.
Attention, everyone.
Get breakdown on games, free agent signings and potential moves, unbiased opinions and straight up facts with statistical analysis from G Balance. Go to www.thesportsdaily.com/Pelicans-I-View.
Wow, what a huge honor it is to be named NBA 2K18 Legend Edition cover athlete. I really wouldn't be here without the guidance, love, and support of my mom and dad. Also, I'd like to thank my coaches, both college and professional. But most of all, I'd like to thank Kobe Bryant. He was the NBA 2K Legend cover athlete first. He's so awesome and handsome and has really nice natural teeth. Wait, what? I'll be looking at his teeth. This ain't over, Kobe. Payback's gonna be fun.
NBA fans, NBA League Pass is your ticket to all of this season's action. Every exciting matchup. Every incredible shot. Every big moment, every game live and on demand in HD quality on every type of device. Wherever you are, whenever you want. NBA League Pass has you covered. Sign up today.
Follow the Sports Coma on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, and we're covering the Saints. In episode 192, we're breaking down New Orleans as the rookie mini camp, among other things, have come to a conclusion. Of course, not just the drafted guys, but undrafted guys, a handful of veterans in attendance, like Tyron Walker, Jay Bromley, the defensive lineman from formerly of the Giants, Michael Ola, he's a former offensive lineman with some veteran experience, and a few other veterans that were there. Some intriguing undrafted guys as well. Cam Saran, this poor tight end, I keep mispronouncing his name. Sarene is an interesting prospect as well. And you have guys like Deion Yelder and Colton Jumper, a few guys like that. And of course, some of the guys that have been on the teams, the Adam Big Hills, the Traven Durrells, people like those guys out there competing in a rookie mini camp. Now let's finish up on our interview with Sean Payton as he continues to break down his thoughts on the rookie mini camp.
Well, we tell them that, look, these are the things that are important. Do they know what to do? That's important. And so they are in a crash course, if you will, on getting adjusted to the terminology. Then how quickly are they learning what to do, and then are they doing what we're trying to teach them? But it is the beginning part of the process, and with just 3 days, certainly if you're a tryout player, there's X amount of pressure to catch someone's eye, but every year we've seen it. And we always kind of in the first meeting talk to them about, look, the procurement part of it is getting you here, and then at that point, how you got here is really unimportant to us. what's important to us now is what we see and trying to be, fair to the evaluation process.
What do you guys like about JT Barrett?
Well, there's a leadership presence about him. He's a good athlete. He's played a lot of competitive football, and he's handled this camp very well. So a lot of the things that you look for in that position. He certainly was worthy of being drafted, and he's done a good job here.
What are some of the adjustments for, say, someone like Will Clapp as a center coming into the league? I mean, it's different from, say, guard.
I would say just the multitude of fronts and maybe the size. The size of, and yet in this camp, he's getting really an introduction to everything from pointing out the mic to the protections, how we call them. But I would say, though, the responsibilities increase, I think, a little bit with this next level, and then the size of the players you see.
Sean, what are you looking for in a quarterback who's,
That's Coach Sean Payton breaking down some information about various players. Of course, you heard him make mention of JT Barrett and how outstanding of a camp that he had with New Orleans. Of course, JT Barrett's a guy who had an immense success at Ohio State. I mean, if you look at JT Barrett's statistics, I mean, some of his statistics alone are quite eye-popping, to be honest with you, eye-popping statistics. Kind of weird he didn't, he wasn't even drafted as a 7th-round pick. He went totally, undrafted. But the Saints, for guys like those who played at a high level, who had a lot of success in college, those guys usually come in with chips on their shoulders big time. And I'm pretty sure JT Barrett, as competitive as he is, he's most certainly going to come into this camp and other camps with a major chip on his shoulder. He has a lot of experience, played a lot of games, and had a lot of success at Ohio State. Of course, Sean Payton has a preference, if you will, at Ohio State players, as we have a lot of really good ones that line our roster that are very effective and contribute very well. You got guys like Von Bell. Of course, Ted Ginn Jr. is another one of those guys. Of course, Marcus Lattimore, the Rookie of the Year cornerback, the rookie cornerback. You have guys like that. So he has really a like for Ohio State players, and like I said, we have key Ohio State guys all over the place. But big ups to Coach Payton and the administrators for reaching out and grabbing a hand to a couple of LSU guys. You got Traven Durrell, now you got Will Clapp, a guy that he spoke about in the interview that could play center, guard, or tackle. You're going to have a spot somewhere on this team, no doubt about it. The more what's the term I'm looking for here? Versatile. The more versatile you are, the ability that you can be able to make a team. That's why guys like Taysom Hill say, you know what, Coach, I don't want you to sit here and hold the clipboard as a third QB. Let me get in there and make some tackles on special teams. Because if you could play special teams and help out in that capacity, then you can make a spot on the team. So if you're not starting, you have to, and you can play special teams really well, you're going to make the roster. You're going to make the roster, because if you can't, sooner or later, if you can stay on the special teams roster, and unfortunately, if they have an injury that's ahead of you, then ultimately you can kind of slide up that depth chart, kind of speak based on injuries that might occur to teammates. Now, before we get into the rest of our topics, let's listen to what defensive coordinator Dennis Allen had to say about the Saints cap. Here's Allen.
When he's got first time, kind of getting your eyes on him up close and personal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no different than any other year. I mean, obviously he's got the athletic qualities that we're looking for. Mentally, he's got the things that we're looking for that gives him a chance to have success. And so, this camp is really kind of about, getting accustomed to some of the verbiage that we're going to use, getting used to some of the techniques that we're going to ask him to play. And so it's kind of an introductory type of phase, but we're certainly excited about the player.
How do you envision using a guy like that? He's an athletic freak. You can use pretty much anywhere.
Well, look, we're going to play him at the right end to start off with and evaluate him there. I think the one thing that really stood out to us throughout the draft process was really just his ability to rush the passer. We felt like, he had a unique skill set that allowed him to be able to rush the passer. He's got size, he's got length, he's got speed. So all the qualities that you're looking for, he has. And now it's just a matter of getting him out here, getting him accustomed to what we're going to ask him to do, and helping him to develop.
How excited were you in trading all the way up to go get a guy on the edge? Something I'm sure you're happy.
Those aren't decisions that I make. Obviously, we were certainly excited that we got the player because he was somebody that we targeted from very early on in the process. That we felt like he really had a unique skill set, and we felt like we could really utilize his talents. And so, obviously I was excited when Sean and Mickey and those guys decided to move up and take the player, and we feel great about having him.
That's Dennis Allen talking about picking the player. Of course, the player is Marcus Davenport. And Marcus Davenport, the Senior Bowl, Saints was out there in heavy regard in the Senior Bowl, and they had an opportunity to get up close and personal with a lot of players out there. That's one of the people that Marcus Davenport's one of the guys that keyed in early. Now, if you heard what Coach Allen spoke about the fact that the Saints did like a lot of the abilities that Marcus Davenport is, a natural-born pass rusher with tremendous size. The guy's 6'6", he's 6'6", 270-something pounds. He is very athletic, is very fast, and most of the time he's rushing a pass out of college in a kind of a stand-up position. Saints actually have him doing more of a three-point stance. And he made a comment about it, the fact that he feels even more easier, being that he never really truly played a three-point stand, but being that the Saints are using that stance, he feels really comfortable using it. So that's a scary thought for a lot of opposing teams, is the fact that you think about Marcus Davenport as a guy that is kind of getting used to playing out of that stance. So that'll be interesting to see exactly what the Saints do to him. But a lot of stuff, bear this in mind, Who Dat Nation, is the fact that when you deal with a guy like Marcus Davenport, and then you have, of course, the Saints defensive line coach, they changed a lot of positions. One of those positions last year were hiring a new defensive line coach. And also, they have a pass rush specialist coach, as Brian Young is in along with that. But if you look at Ryan Nielsen is a tremendous young coach. Of course, the Saints hired him. He was the last of the coaches to get hired last year when they fired Joe Vitt and a few other guys. But you look at Ryan Nielsen, and he doesn't get really a lot of credit for what he does, but he's one of those guys that helped train some of the fiercest defensive linemen out of North Carolina State, the Wolfpack. And he has a tremendous talent for getting the most out of defensive linemen. That's why you see so much, in large part, growth out of the defensive linemen, teaching them technique, how to refine the technique. Cam already had a great motor, but having him to fine-tune his technique, spin moves, bull rushes, all kind of different things like that. Those techniques will go a long way in making them more effective. And now it could be a lot easier for Cam if you got Davenport on the opposite side of the line, pass rushing. Hey, we finally found someone to complement Cam Jordan, and you have I guess 3/4 of a line now. If you think about Tyler Davison, who's filling in there with Daniel Yamada and the likes, but Sheldon Rankins, Marcus Davenport, and Cameron Jordan. Hey man, the Saints defensive line is going to be even more fiercer this time around. But anyway, let's get into it. We're going to play those JT Barrett and the rest of those interviews, and momentarily let's talk about some statistics. Now, we talked about JT Barrett and Sean Payton mentioned him having a fantastic camp. We've seen some statistics on JT Barrett. Not statistics. We've seen some footage on him in the camp, and he looked real good, making passes in a variety and multitude, finding wide receivers, all kind of great stuff. If they don't allow him to get hit as well. And of course, I've seen a few plays where Marcus Davenport was in the backfield pretty regularly, kind of forcing JT Barrett to make passes. But it looks real interesting about how he did. He had a terrific camp, and I'm looking forward to see what he brings in coming up ahead in the nearby future. But very interesting there. Now, we're about to go into our next break. When we come back, we're going to extend the show at least another segment to cover some more interviews, and then we're going to cover the rest of these topics on the Sports Coma.
Forget ESPN or Fox. Get straight sports talk from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
In today's world, children are bombarded with negativity on television, online, and at school. Our kids need to have a positive outlook on life and the world around them. I want to share with you a valuable resource you can use to bring positivity into your child's life. It's the new book, 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad, G.J. Barabino. This is a simple guide loaded with wonderful and inspirational affirmations designed to uplift young people's spirits. This positive and powerful children affirmational is chock full and loaded with wonderful inspirational sayings that will lift your child's self-image to whole new levels through the awesome power of spoken word. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad G.J. Barabino. Available on Amazon. Order a copy for yourself, your child's teachers, or anyone you know with children. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image. Order your copy today.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Media Network, who provides hours and hours of free edutainment to you and yours. If you are benefiting positively from our content, please donate to help us grow our platform by going to www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. That's www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network, and support the true independent artists.
Check out the Crown They Ass World podcast with three kings covering all the news and issues that affect you and the ones you care about, only on the PRO Media Network.
Hello, New Orleans. You're listening to the Sports Coma, your new #1 podcast on everything Saints, Pelicans, and a lot more. And now, here's your host, Big Q and the guys.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, and we're talking about rookie minicamp, among other things. Now, of course, JT Barrett's a guy that's going to be spoken about a lot. He's a quarterback. Quarterbacks and Divas, they get a lot of attention. Now, JT Barrett finished a pretty good college career at Ohio State, and he came in, as a terrific passer. Now, I just want to say something about JT Barrett. His resume here. I mean, he was actually terrific. His first year in Ohio State, he threw 34 touchdown passes versus 10 interceptions. Did you hear what I just said? I mean, he was 30. Listen to the numbers. This was back in 2014. And of course, then I'm going to zip to 2017. But JT Barrett was awesome. His rookie season, they don't say rookie, his freshman year, he was 2,000. He was 2 of 203 out of 314. That's 65%. He threw for 2,834 yards, averaged 9 yards a throw, and he threw for 34 touchdowns with 10 interceptions as a freshman. He had 169.8 QB rating. Now, last year in 2017, he was 229 completions out of 354 attempts. That's good for almost 65% passing. He had his best year as a college quarterback in 4 years. He threw for 2,939 yards, averaged 8 yards a throw, and had 35 touchdowns versus 9 interceptions. JT Barrett has the statistics, the stats. He's not a small quarterback. He's 6'2", almost 230 pounds, 225. 23 years old, had a really good, solid career at Ohio State. Well, guess what? The Saints did a good job in finding undrafted guys, and they've definitely found something special in JT Barrett. And let's listen to Mr. Barrett talk about the fit here in New Orleans.
JT, a couple of days in, is it what you thought it was going to be?
I don't know. I mean, I came in it kind of open-minded, not really sure what to expect. I mean, it's kind of different everywhere. So, I mean, I talked to my guy Cardell, and he just told me, go in open mind and do what you do, and everything will be all right. So,
What was your mindset after, being undrafted? Did you feel like it would go that way, and did you have to kind of wrap your head around, just being on the free agent market to start rookie minicamp?
Not really. I think, it wasn't like I was, totally like upset. I mean, I guess I was down, but it was kind of like, just didn't get picked. So it was kind of like, it was out of my control is the best way I could put it. So, I couldn't really, weigh on it too long, but did have calls, fortunately, to go play places, this being one of them. So, I took it in stride and, kind of played with the cards that were dealt to me.
What made this place the decision?
From afar, love the Saints organization. I think how they run things is, top level, top notch at the high end of the NFL when you talk about the Saints. And I want to come here and learn. I like how they work their offense and things like that. And I feel like
that's J.T. Barrett, folks. J.T. Barrett saying it's a good fit, and I think so too. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I like the fact that you got a guy like J.T. Barrett here. That's going to bring a high production guy, 4-year player at a high at Ohio State, a high prestigious football team led by a coach that has some professional ties, run a professional style system. So that's interesting to have J.T. Barrett to come here. And, of course, like I say, Sean Payton loves to go Ohio State. He loves those guys because they played in a pro system and it's the leap to come over from college to pro is not that great of a leap because they have some pro concepts from the system that they played in, to be quite honest with you. But let's listen to Marcus Davenport as he make his Sports Coma debut, the first of many interviews with Mr. Marcus Davenport, the first-round draft pick, defensive lineman.
What are you, trying to accomplish this weekend?
Just trying to get better, learn the plays, and develop as a player.
How do you think that's going so far?
Going pretty good. Learning.
Do you think you've had any sacks? It's hard to tell, obviously, when it's going so fast.
I don't really know. I'm just trying to get better.
At what stage of your college career did you think NFL or first-round draft choice were realistic goals for you?
When I got drafted? Yeah, pretty much.
There wasn't a time a light bulb went on where you felt like you could play at this level? Other than when you got drafted?
I never thought that I really couldn't, but, getting drafted and coming here is like, I'm still trying to work to play at this level, so hey.
So how has your life changed since you became first-round pick?
It's just a lot more work, I got things that I want to do, so I'm putting in the work to get there.
What are some of those things?
Really, I just been wanting to get better, more, technically sound with my own game and learn from the older guys.
Marcus, making the switch to defensive end was obviously a major change for you. What allowed you to stay so committed to that and think that that's the position you should be at?
You talking about now?
Well,
or
just throughout that process, switching from offense to defense and thinking, all right, I'm going to pursue a career doing something completely different than I've done.
It was more just it was something that I didn't really have to rely on other people for my own production, and back then that's really what drove me to be able to be a force on defense.
Marcus, coaches are saying they basically want to put you in positions to max.
That's Marcus Davenport, man. He's just telling you straight up, man, I just want to get better. I just want to do better. I just want to learn as much as I can. He's saying all the right stuff you want your rookie defensive end to say, or any rookie, that you expect to have a lot of success. Now, he can rush the passer. He had 21 of them, 21 and a half sacks in his 4-year college career of playing for the University of Texas at San Antonio. So the guy was terrific. 21 and a half sacks, including his best year of last year when he had 8 and a half sacks. He had 17 tackles, 17 and a half tackles for loss, and he had 54 total tackles, period. So he had a pretty solid year. Plus, he just wowed the Saints team when he played at the Senior Bowl. He had a sack. He had multiple pressures. He also returned a fumble for a touchdown. So Marcus Davenport, on any stretch of imagination, would definitely aid the Saints in more ways than one. Now, his stature, remember, you had big ends before, and I know we probably have a few Saints fans out there that can go back. That's some guys that, go back into back in the day. But I'm not saying he's this guy that I'm about to mention, but but he's a big guy like this guy who was a pretty decent pass rusher. Who if you look him up, you find out, damn, I didn't know this guy was actually had that many sacks. Ronaldo Turnbull. Remember Ronaldo Turnbull? Look up his stats and kind of see how Marcus Davenport is a little bit more athletic, because I see some people list him at 6'7", some at 6'6", but I guess when we get really official, we'll figure out what it is. But it doesn't matter. This guy can move and rush the passer. Now let's go to our next rookie. And, of course, this guy is wide receiver Traquan Smith. Very interesting pickup for the Saints, and getting this receiver. And hopefully, depending on how good and how fast Traquan Smith picks up, he could definitely be the guy opposite of Mike Thomas. Imagine Mike Thomas and a guy like Traquan Smith with all that speed working behind with Drew Brees, and then going into the future of the offense with this team. Could be a lot. But here's Traquan Smith and his thoughts at camp.
All right, first acclimation to the NFL here. How did it go for the first couple days here?
It feels great. I feel like everything's going well. I'm getting a lot of good work in, a lot of good coaching in. And I'm just really trying to get acclimated to the system.
I know it's only a couple days in for you. What do you think you need to work on? Coach said lower body strength. Anything else?
Yeah, they keep saying lower body strength because when I come off the ball, I tend to take a false step. And then when I'm breaking down, I tend to be a little slow. And he said it comes from the legs. And Coach Payton always talking about you have to be more like a Tesla. You ever drove a Tesla? I said, no, Coach. He said, well, I got to bring mine out here to let you drive it. And he said, when I take off, I'm a little shaky. But the Tesla, just straight to it.
I guess for you, I guess anytime a receiver comes in, everyone says, hey, I get to play with Drew Brees. What's it like for you imagining what you could do with him as your quarterback?
Man, when I think about that, working with Drew Brees, I know my game going to be stepping up to a whole another level. Future Hall of Fame quarterback. Working with him is just a great opportunity to do so, and I'm looking forward to it.
What's it been like working with JT Barrett these first couple days?
It's been awesome. I never worked with him before. I was at the combine with him, and today, like the last few days, been my first time working with him. He has a great arm, put the ball, right there on me. I'm just glad I have the opportunity to work with him. He's a very good quarterback.
Were there any guys, whether it's in rookie minicamp or just around this facility, that you had a relationship with before you came to the Saints?
No guys before, but I'm building relationships now with a couple of guys.
I was curious too. I mean, when going to a place like Central Florida, someone like Marcus Davenport going to a place like UT San Antonio. I mean, I don't know how much you guys have been able to talk, but do you feel like you have maybe a chip on your shoulder coming into the league where you went to a smaller school? And it seems like people like to bring that up a lot whenever somebody went to a school that might not have been a Power 5 school. Do you come across that ever?
I wouldn't say a chip on my shoulder to be exact, but I do think about it. Like like you said, people downplay smaller schools, but when you get here, you here, and everybody fighting for the same opportunity, the same goal. So small school or big school, you here for a reason, and you got your opportunity. So from the start, everything's equal.
That's Traquan Smith breaking it down. Everything equal. Where you come from, a small school or big school, you could play. Either way, if you here, we all playing for the same opportunities. Traquan Smith last year had a fantastic year, by the way, out of UCF. Terrific. 29 catches. Excuse me, not 29 catches. Why I say 29? 59 catches, 1,171 yards, averaging almost 20 yards a catch. He had 13 touchdowns last year for Central Florida. Overall, 168 receptions, 2,748 yards, 16.5 average on the catch. He had 22 touchdowns. 22 touchdowns as a wide receiver in the 3 years he played for Central Florida. Big numbers, small school. Don't matter. You can play, they'll find you. Anyway, that'll take us into our next break. We're going to do a little overdrive here on the Sports Coma. And we're going to cover some of the rest of the topics on the other side of the break, dealing with some of our thoughts, my thoughts personally on some of the guys at the camp. We'll get into it and talk about it more. So stay with us on the Sports Coma.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is The Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out The Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Clear, clean, great-tasting filtered water. We're all thirsty for it. But in the U.S. alone, an estimated 2.5 million plastic bottles are added to the environment each year in search of the perfect drink of water. There has to be a better solution, and there is. Crystal Quest, a leader in the manufacturing of water filtration technology, has been providing clean, drinkable water for 20 years. Crystal Quest has been recognized by such leaders as Consumers Digest, Dr. Oz, and Colin Ingram's The Water Drinking Book, offering our customers the cleanest and most environmental-friendly drinking water at a rating of high purity. With Crystal Quest's water filtration technology, you can rest assured that your water will be crystal clear. Contact our network of authorized distributors and join our thousands of satisfied customers.
Just log into theposhlifestyle.com. Once again, that is theposhlifestyle.com.
Get all the latest news and updates from your New Orleans Pelicans at the Pelicans Argue, the new and official Pelicans Daily Journal, covering everything Pelicans.
Attention, everyone.
Get breakdown on games, free agent signings and potential moves, unbiased opinions and straight up facts with statistical analysis from G Balance. Go to www.thesportsdaily.com/Pelicans-I-View.
Follow The Sports Coma on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
You're listening to The Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Best fucking sports podcast in the country.
Welcome back to The Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. And DC's absent today, so Big Q holding the show down. Dolo, we talking about moving forward. From the previous break, we played some interviews for Marcus Davenport. We played some stuff with Traquan Smith and quarterback JT Barrett, Sean Payton, all those guys. That was the previous segment. In this segment, we just pretty much dive into the rest of the topics that we have remaining pertaining to some of the football news that we have. And of course, we're going to talk about some of the camp standouts. Of course, I mentioned JT Barrett. Of course, he was one that Sean Payton named specifically as having a pretty damn good rookie mini camp. Also, other veterans that's pretty intriguing to the mixture. We got Tyron Walker. Now, Tyron Walker is interesting because, you know, he's a homeboy. I mean, he's from Louisiana. He's from New Iberia. And he's a guy that the Saints picked up here and he decided to come back. So the Saints gave him a try. Of course, he started with the Saints for 3 years, back in 2012 to 2014. And within that time frame, he played mostly defensive end, defensive tackle. Sometimes they moved him to end, but mostly interior of the Saints. He played 23 games with the Saints. He started one. He had 3.5 sacks. Playing for the Saints in that capacity. He went to Detroit for a few years, played 1 year for the Rams, and had 1 sack from that time frame. So most of his sacks and his production came alongside with the Saints. So it's good to see that he is back, that the Saints bring him back. Now, also, the team did sign and bring in a guy to try out by the name of he's not from Louisiana. That's a typo. I'm sorry. He's from Iowa. But anyway, let's talk about the other guy that he brought in, which is Jay Bromley. Now, Bromley, a lot of people probably remember Bromley as a guy that played for the Giants, big defensive lineman, a guy that can come in and possibly provide some depth for New Orleans. Now, it's pretty interesting because the Saints do definitely need some help in the interior, maybe a rotational guy that can help substitute in certain packages. If Sheldon Rankins and Tyler Davidson starting, and you have Daniel Yamada behind them, and they could use another defensive tackle that can come in and possibly help push the pocket. Now, Bromley, he has played 55 career games, 55 games. and has 2 sacks. Not a lot of production, but mostly Bromley is a defensive tackle, 6'3", 300 pounds. Very interesting to see exactly where the Saints see Bromley is just possibly a camp body, a guy that might be able to provide that rush. But Tyron Walker is pretty interesting as well to see if he can come back and make a play. Now, Michael Ola is an interesting pickup as well. The Saints signed this guy, and the Saints obviously looking to add some depth to their offensive line. They'll probably find some guys that can actually contribute. And of course, you had guys like Teron Armstead gets hurt. If he gets hurt, then we have somebody to fall back on. Of course, they signed Bushrod. Of course, they drafted a guy like Rick Leonard, who some people say he might need a little bit more seasoning. But Michael Ola is a guy that's played in the league before, played 32 career games, started 19 games of the 32 games that he's played. And he's a guy that can come in. He's 6'3". He 280 pounds. And he's a guy, he played for Chicago. He played for Detroit. He played for Buffalo. He played for the Chargers. So this is a guy that does have some pro experience, and the Saints are pretty much interested in bringing this man. They signed this man to possibly provide depth. But it'll be interesting to see if he can stick and stay with the Saints, or if it's just a guy, a depth sign is. But it make no qualms about it. This is going to be a very, very interesting camp coming up. The big camps, the mini camps, and then the big camp, and all this coming up, because we have a lot of talent all over the place. Very interesting to see exactly what the Saints gonna do. And it's like they're deeper in some of these positions than ever before. And you got a lot of these veterans coming to help to compete. It just brings a whole new dimension of things. Now let's get into the talk. Now, of course, we talked about JT Barrett having a standout camp. Marcus Davenport was another guy some people mentioned who had pretty good, even though you can't classify as sacks. The guys, usually the quarterbacks wear red shirts. You can't knock them down. You can't touch them. I don't know if they count sacks in that capacity, but from what the footage that I've seen from Marcus Davenport, he was consistently getting in the backfield near the quarterback. So, I mean, if he keeps this up and he keeps refining his technique and keeps moving ahead, keeps getting stronger, of course, he's going to be working with the strength coaches and the techniques to get his technique refined and be the best player that he could be. But I have no doubt in my mind that guys like Ryan Nielsen and Brian Young and Dennis Allen will whip these defensive linemen into shape to be an effective force. Now, he's going to be speaking of Davenport, be a very important part to the puzzle for the Saints, in order for him to really take pressure off of camp. Now, that's a lot to ask from a rookie to come in and say, well, listen, what would make an effective case for Marcus Davenport? I say, listen, man, if Marcus Davenport could get 5 or 6 sacks and be a consistent pressure or problem on the other side of the line, opposite of Cam, where every now and again they got to shift help over there so that he can get it. He's going to help out Sheldon Rankins. He's going to help out Cam Jordan. He's going to help out Tyler Davison, or whoever starts at that defensive tackle position. Either is Onyemata or Davison. Right now, I think Davison has the edge. But be that as it may, he's going to make life easier by every measure if he can actually get at least 5 or 6 sacks on a year with the guy with his freakish ability. And if he remains healthy, I can see that as a possibility, a major possibility, if anything. But double digit sacks and all that, I don't know if that's too much to ask for with a guy like that. But I say if we get like 5 or 6, maybe 7 sacks from him, that should be effective enough to be able to kind of shift, because she's going to get back there. He's definitely going to get back there. You have 2 guys like them pressuring from the outside. It's going to be interesting, man. I'm just, get guys like Matt Ryan on the ground, Jameis Winston, those guys on the ground. But he's also a guy that also not only can rush the passer and put pressure on the quarterback, but he can also pursue you too. So if you break out and try to run, he can get to you real fast. Very interesting guy. Very interesting guy. Also, let's talk about another interesting guy. Not a guy that was drafted, not a guy that we talk a lot of, but we're talking about Mr. Kevin Snead. Now, Kevin Snead, as far as I know, I've done some research on Kevin Snead. He is not related to Willie Snead, and as far as my research indicates, he is not a relative of Willie Snead. He just happens to share the name. Now, the reason why I bring up Kevin Snead, he's a long shot to make the team, of course, but I just wanted to bring this to show you what type of player this guy is. Now, this guy was voted, and I'm going to read it here by Kevin Snead. It says he was voted the fastest man in college by the U.S. and Track and Field Cross Country Coaches Association of America. Did you hear what I just said? Now, I know a lot of times you say, well, track stars, the speed don't usually translate to an NFL game. These guys usually be a little too fast, But this guy's voted as the fastest man in college. And let me read more about it. He set school records for the 100 and 200 meter dashes, earned All-American honors during the indoor season. On the football field, he's real raw. But according to NFL.com, he possesses legitimate world-class speed that could make him the fastest man in the league and an explosive leaper. Now, during the pro day, his 40-yard dash time was clocked anywhere between 4.22 and 4.26. Did you just hear what I just said? Did you hear what I just said? We have this guy on our team right now. Kevin Snead is his name. Voted as the fastest man in college. His 40 time was clocked from anywhere between 4.22 and 4.26. Now, he ran at the 100 meters in 10.21. So it's just, this guy has unbelievable speed. He has leaping ability. And it'll be interesting to see if it can correlate along with, what the Saints are attempting to do. But the mere fact that they were astute enough to bring the fastest man in college football aboard the team, hey, man, I love this move. And I'm interested to see exactly where this guy go. Now, let me read you some more particulars on this man. Okay, he was undrafted, but he's a kick returner, a wide receiver, and a kick returner. He was signed by the Giants after the tryouts. He showed explosive potential during the preseason and gamered Tyreek Hill's comparisons. Now, they're saying based upon his speed, his comparison, he looks like that awesome kick returner Tyreek Hill from the Kansas City Chiefs. But he was waived due to a leg injury. Got hurt. The Saints got lucky. They got this guy here. Now, his size is not a little guy. He's 6 feet tall and weighs 190 pounds. So he has decent size and, weight. That's pretty good size for a guy running 4.22. My bad, between the 4.22 and 4.26. Are you kidding me? That's blazingly fast, But anyway, he did suit up for the spring league. Remember the spring league that, the few games that they played to show the scouts there's much more to his game to just his speed. Now, he didn't have much statistics as far as in college, so he's definitely what they would consider a raw prospect. But I just gave you a little information on Snead because I felt like, man, we got this guy here, and we always talk about adding speed to the wide receiver core. Of course, we know about Tre'Quan Smith's speed. Mike Thomas is not a 4.22 guy or anything, but he has pretty decent speed. You got Ted Ginn Jr., who's a hell of a speed. So he wasn't as fast as he was at Ohio State when he first came, but he's still lightning quick. And then, of course, you have guys like Elvin Kamara, who's really fast. You have guys like from Tommy Lee Lewis, who's lightning quick. And, of course, you have a guy like Kevin Snead. Will be very interesting to see exactly if the Saints can bring this guy in and have him to contribute in some capacity. So y'all just keep a lookout for Kevin Snead. Also, let's talk about, one of our faves here, Tyler Stallworth, the big defensive tackle from South Carolina. Now, what's interesting about Tyler Stallworth, a lot of people like, I don't know, I keep calling the man Tyler. His name is Taylor Stallworth. Taylor Stallworth, very interesting player that the Saints were able to get out of the University of South Carolina. Now, Stallworth is a man, big guy, who can actually help the Saints in many capacities because, like I said, I think you got to look at, some people say the linebacker position. We could use another linebacker behind Alex Anzalone, and I think that's warranted. But I think that if you look at the defensive tackle interior position, you got Sheldon Rankins and Tyler Davis and then Daniel Onyemata. We could use some help there. Now, I'm aware of guys like Lawrence and some of these other Saints players that play that defensive end position. But in the long run, when you're thinking about it, you're going to need some help from the interior line because some of those guys were hurt last year. We don't know how it'll translate with them coming back, but we know we got Henry Mondu, got Devereaux Lawrence, get them shots out, Woodrow Hamilton, and of course David Perry. I don't know if he's still on the team, but Tyler Stallworth is a guy that could possibly gain some ground there in making a team. But anyway, that'll be the Sports Coma for today. Thank y'all for joining us. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy the podcast, please go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/PRO Media Network. Make a donation, support the platform. Thank you for listening.
You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
At The Posh Lifestyle, I go there for all my health needs. They offer great deals on organics, water filters, healing magnetics, healing crystals, clothing, books, DVDs, vitamins, and a lot more. They even have free shipping when you spend over $100 on most products. With secure online ordering, fast service, and great products, I save some money, and I'm improving my health doing it. It's a win-win. So do what I did. Go to shop.theposhlifestyle.com. That's shop.theposhlifestyle.com. That's shop.theposhlifestyle.com. So upgrade your lifestyle with The Posh Lifestyle and love what you do.